website, normalwebsite.com. Come and welcome up here, Rob Schultz.
Hey guys. There's been a little bit of, there's been some creepy stories. I wanted to kind of take a different tack. I collect stories about embarrassing deaths. Fellow driving in Los Angeles with his girlfriend, parks on railroad tracks in the path of an oncoming train. He gets out, he runs. His suddenly ex-girlfriend can't get out, he's jammed the locks. Train hits the car, she is hospitalized, but lives. The fella, now like half a block away, killed by car shrapnel. These are not going to all be stories about train-related deaths, but they could be. I want to be clear. Like, an embarrassing death is not a Darwin Award situation. That's like one of those things where any reasonable person knows this is not going to work. Nobody is surprised that the guy who tried to remove his own pacemaker died. I mean, he was, but like not for long. I'm talking about like a guy in South Carolina gets himself a hammock, strings it up between two trees, hops in, goes to sleep. What he doesn't know is that one of those trees is dead and rotten. Tree falls, dude dies. And I guarantee you, all the family said at the funeral was that he died in his sleep. Because an embarrassing death is not necessarily a closed casket funeral, but it is always a white lie as to the cause of death funeral. Because otherwise it will be a constant snickering funeral. And that is so much harder on the families. Somewhere in Northern California there is an entire housing development built on top of an old salt mine that is empty today just because of one guy who fell through his kitchen floor and down a mine shaft. Death by floor. And this one is interesting because that also means that there's a guy who sold a salt mine to a real estate developer. Probably real cheap. And I also like con man stories. As though I was doing research for tonight's show, I've just spent an entire week in Las Vegas, which is categorically too long to spend in Las Vegas. Two quick things about Las Vegas. One, people still do Borat impressions. Not like professionals, like or something like a weird show, like to pick up women. Because Borat was such a ladies' man, or he's such a cultural touchstone for the kind of women that hang out in casinos. Like, you might as well be using Caddyshack jokes to get a date. I was going to say Austin Powers, but I guarantee you right now, there's a woman in Las Vegas like fending off some guy doing lines from Austin Powers. Guaranteed. And the second thing is that dudes do this thing, like any age, every age, where like a couple of them will be like sitting around playing cards, playing some blackjack, and like a third guy will walk up, and he'll be like, "Hey, someone better call security. I think these guys are counting cards." And then the two guys at the table turn around. They'll be like, "Oh my God, it's Bill." And the second guy will be like, "Bill, we thought you died in the war." And then they all go, "Ha ha 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 ha." Like, not like a real laugh, but like you'd write it out. They're going, "Ha ha ha ha." Dead eyes. Ha 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 ha. And I realized this is the male equivalent of like a girl, maybe in Target, who sees her old college roommate or her current college roommate. And goes like, "Oh my God, Stephanie!" and starts jumping up and down and yelling and screaming. And I was surprised because I did not know there was a male version of that. But there is. What I was doing in Las Vegas, I took all the money that I earned last year performing stand-up comedy. I'd just been putting that aside all year long. And I was going to treat this as like an omen for how I should approach stand-up comedy in 2014. Like, was the whole last year, was it all for nothing? Should I be doubling down in the new year? This was going to be it. And I walked right up to the roulette table. I put it all on black. And as you can see, because I'm standing here in front of you now, That is just about the fastest way I've ever lost $60. That's right, I made $60 doing stand-up last year. Yes. I am, of course, counting the $20 that I just found in the street outside after a show once, because I feel like I earned that. I think what I like about Vegas is that, like, it's a big ball of con man stories. Like, nobody is ever going to make, almost nobody, will make a meaningful amount of money, even if they win inside a casino. And if you go outside of a casino, everybody is, like, working their own little scam, their own hustle, their own con. Like, there's the guy, like, folding palm fronds into the shape of flowers. There's the guy, like, selling water at the top of every staircase. There's a guy, like, walking around with a bucket that just says charity on it. There's actual games of, like, 3-card Monte going on. And it's just like everybody, like the heart of every one of these get rich quick. I want the heart of every con story. Pardon me, I wrote this afternoon. The heart of every one of these con man stories is a get rich quick scheme. And right now, the world's best current going get rich quick scheme is Kickstarter. Are we hip to Kickstarter in this room? I feel like San Francisco probably would be. It's the site where you say that you want to make a thing, and then people, like, they have a time limit to give you money. If they give you the amount you ask for, you get the money. If they don't, you don't. There's like a video game that came $28 short of 50 grand, they got nothing. And for me, like, watching these and seeing how they end is about as exciting as finding out that there's a guy who drowned trying to rescue a toy boat from the center of a lake because his inflatable raft was punctured by the toy boat. That is an embarrassing guy. I like searching this website. I like looking through it because I have no idea what people want. Like, there are these unbelievable, unfathomable projects that get their money made, and I don't understand why the internet wants to give 20 grand to, like, some guy in Iowa who makes beaded jewelry, but they won't give $4,000 to this lady in Ohio who makes beaded jewelry. I don't. There's a thing that ended last week. There's a project that ended last week where the deal is you give this girl money, and she hand paints a greeting card and sends it to an old person. Nobody wanted this. Nobody at all. There's a different project that was called Old People Eating Eggs in 3D. That made $2,600. There's a lesson there and I don't know what it is. Right now what I have is I've made a saved, like, advanced search on the website that shows me the projects that are about to end that are nowhere near their goal. Like, these are the people who, like, need $1 million and have 10. There's like a martial arts web series that ended last week, and they've got, like, this terrible video with, like, this awful green screening, and it's interlaced. And, like, if interlacing doesn't mean anything to you, it's not worth going into now, but I'm a video editor. And I assure you, like, I wouldn't know how to do it on purpose at this point. Like, the technology, they're shooting on such an old camera, but they need 30 grand, and there's 3 hours left, and they only have 5. Not 5 grand. They have $5. $5. But you know when they posted it, they're like, oh, this is it. Like, this is our ticket. The internet has been waiting for this moment. And failing that, like, our parents and coworkers have been waiting for this moment. And that's not the case. Like, somewhere, somebody's obsession is making a hat with an iPhone dock in it. Somebody is making a wand so that you can take better selfies. That's a project. And my obsession is watching them fail. I found this rapper in Atlanta who wants 10 grand to make a mixtape. That's the stuff. Kickstarter added this thing called risks and challenges because there were too many people showing up who were like, I want to make a car out of aluminum. And then they'd get the money and then realize they'd never designed a car, they'd never built a car. It's actually not a good idea to make a car out of aluminum, it'll crumple immediately. But they don't know that. And now everybody's mad. So Kickstarter makes you say, like, here's how, like, they make you think about, like, how could your project go wrong? And here's what the rapper guy wrote in his project. He wrote, I can't see how this project could go wrong. I have networked like crazy. I have a DJ who supports me. I have a street team and a small following. And he also has $0 for his mixtape. That project ended and nobody contributed. Maybe he should have included a video of him doing some rapping instead of a picture of him doing some rapping. Maybe that would have helped. But I like seeing these like unloved projects, and I want to back them, but I want to play it cool. I'm not talking about like giving $1,000 to somebody, or at least pledging $1,000 to somebody to make like a Jelly Belly mural of the solar system, because I feel like that would be sarcastic. I want to give like $25. Like the amount that you would give if you thought it was a good idea for a 22-year-old to make a feature-length film about himself. Like I've made a game out of it. I now just want to see how many projects I can back without having to ever actually spend a dime. I got the idea from like a friend of mine who used to bid on classic cars on eBay and just pray that he never actually won any of them. Just live in terror for like 3 days until somebody outbid him. He didn't have that money. The catch, of course, is going to be what happens when a friend of mine starts a Kickstarter. And I live in Los Angeles. It's probably the same in San Francisco. The odds of that happening, it's like twice a week. It's constantly happening. I can't believe there's no term yet for like giving a little bit more generously than you should because you don't think their project is going to succeed. Or a word for the feeling when it does succeed because everybody did that. And you all thought you were being funny, but now you have to spend your weekends playtesting a collectible card game that raises awareness about sex trafficking in the Pacific Northwest. And I'm not even clear on like why it's collectible, if there's going to be booster packs, or if he's going to release expansions that include other kinds of slavery. Or like, are we trying to compete so you can traffic the most sex? I should have read the page more carefully. The point is, that is the second fastest way I've ever lost $60. My name's Rob Schultz. Thank you all very much.
Rob Schultz, one more time for him.